Hello everyone and welcome to the CityCon 2021. My name is Siddharth Pareek and I hope each one of you, your family members, your loved and dear ones are safe, healthy in this pandemic crisis. So what I'm going to talk about today, I'm going to talk about a story of a banking and finance group which is 400 years old and their story about the DevOps cultural transformation. And why I am talking about this whole story? I'm talking about because I'm part of this journey. So let's talk with. So here is a brief about me. My name is Siddharth. As I said, I am belong to the I'm part of the DevOps Center of Excellence practice for the NatWest Group. And what NatWest Group is will be up there in the coming slides. I'm also volunteering, contributing to the community outside NatWest in whatever space and time I get. So what is NatWest Group? NatWest Group is a banker branch, and they are made up of hundreds of past banks. They were all different, large and small, city and country, traditional and innovative, and grew to serve the banking needs of unique communities. Each one has left its mark on our identity today. Each of our brands has its own unique history. So here is some numbers about the NatWest Group, and you will see that we reported 2.9 billion pounds of operating profit before impairments. We also have 7.7 million mobile users. We had 9.4 million digitally active customers in financial 2020, and we also support the cultural aspect. And what we do in that space is we are the net zero carbon achiever in 2020. We also support the female entrepreneurs, and we have done it to 1 billion pounds worth of funding for our female entrepreneurs, which is fully deployed as we speak. Also, what is our strategic priorities are we are simple to deal with, sharpen the capital allocations, we are partners with partnership innovations. We also support our customers at every stage of their life. The area of focus for the NatWest Group is enterprise removing barriers to employees, leading the climate challenge, and building the financial capability. And between all of this whole group, where does our team, which is the DevOps Center of Excellence team, sit? Is there on the screen? This is how the hierarchy is, where we sit within the whole NatWest group. Okay, so let's talk about the topic of the theme today, which is the cultural transformations. Now, adaptability can be company's major competitive advantage in an era of rapid change. And when an organization acknowledges that its present culture is out of sync with its vision, purpose, core values, and strategic goals, cultural change occurs. So this misalignment alerts the organizational leadership that the culture has become a roadblock to attain the organization strategic goals. When an organization embarks on a process to realign its culture with its vision, mission, and core values in order to achieve its strategic goals, it is said to be going the undergoing the cultural transformation. And a quick disclaimer is none of the solution model which you see on the screen I'll be talking about. The other misleading fact is about cultural transformation is many organization considers the reorg part as the cultural transformation, which is not the case. The way things are done is refers to as the culture, the reorg, and it refers to the beliefs, values, and unspoken rules that govern how employees interact in the workplace. It is based on what matters to the leaders in the past and how your current leaders behave. So cultural transformation, like other types of transformation, necessitate the use of both the art and the science. And many transformation projects have failed due to an overemphasis on the science and the disregard to the arts. And when diagnosing, let's say the organization will determine what cultural changes are required, as well as in the design and development of specific initiatives, and plans to achieve these changes. The science of transformation, which includes tools and technologies, as well as the functional expertise, are critical. However, the ability to effectively engage and involve a variety of stakeholders, such as your employees, customers, and suppliers, is required for the successful implementation of a cultural change initiative. And this requires art, such as your leadership, communication skills, and interpersonal skills. And that's what my story, or rather, our story about NatWest is about. And before that, a quick, what I heard about, they were saying about the cultural transformation is that it is often said that butterfly is a transformation, not just a better caterpillar. So with this, let me proceed with my talk. So here are a few numbers, and I'll not go into each of these numbers. But whatever numbers you see, 75% either failing or 90% failing or 88%, all those criteria, every bit of them correlates to the cultural aspect of the DevOps. Okay. So before I start with the whole journey of NatWest, there are two things which I wanted to talk about, basis on which this whole of the talk is based on, this story is based on. The first is the Golden Circle, and if you've heard of this Golden Circle, so in this TED talk, Start with Why, Simon Sinek introduced the Golden Circle, and probably an innovative concept, and it's incredibly motivating, and it, at its core, challenges the status quo in terms of determining your purpose for what you want to do in business and in life. And Simon sets out to figure out why some companies, like say Apple, have been so successful while others with similar resources have failed. And he discovered that less successful business frequently begin with the what, then moved on to how, and few even mentioned why. So some people had no idea why they did what they did. So in this talk, we would be talking about why we did what we did and how we did. So the golden circle, coming back to the slide, is deeply rooted in your human decision-making principles and works in the same way that our brain does. And it can help you improve your leadership, your corporate culture, hiring, product development, sales, and marketing significantly. It also explains what it means to be loyal and how to build the enough momentum to turn a concept into a social movement. So, you will see in our slides further how this golden circle has been embedded. The other thing which is embedded in our cultural transformation journey is the DORA's cultural DevOps capability. There are four DevOps capabilities, however, we'll emphasize all but the job satisfaction. So let's go for it. Now, remember, we talked about the why in the golden circle, and our why revolves around our organization why, which is our purpose. So, NatWest Group champions the potential. They break down the barriers and build financial confidence. So, the 19 million people, families, and businesses we serve in our communities throughout the UK and Ireland can rebuild and thrive. So our purpose is doing the right thing, serving our customers, thinking long term, and working together. And how does this correlate to our DevOps cultural transformation? That is right here. So what we did was in the DevOps Center of Excellence, we break down the purpose of the NatWest group to the purpose of our engineers, our people, our colleagues. So I'll not dwell into each of these sections, but a bit of glimpse of how we have correlated the why purpose of our NatWest group with the why purpose of our DevOps cultural transformation. So the first aspect, as we talked about the DORA cultural capability, revolves around the transformation leadership, which is the how for us. And below you will see the what and the challenges. So James Downtown first proposed the concept of transformational leadership way back in 1973. So what he said is the employees are inspired to give their best and feel engaged when leaders display integrity, honesty, accountability, and empathy. according to the transformation leadership. Now, leaders also recognize that the value of well-trained personals are delegated decision-making authorities to team, which allows them to be more creative and innovative. They also exhibit behaviors that inspires the team and the people to adopt a trust, empathy, and a cooperative mindset, allowing them to focus their efforts on achieving the common goals. So, what we did under the how of the transformation, the first was the OKRs. And a simple definition of OKR is an objective and key results. So, I'll not dwell into the difference between OKRs and KPIs. However, in one liner, KPIs are primarily concerned with the result, whereas OKRs are also concerned with the processes. OKRs talk about the overall picture of what the organization is aiming to accomplish, whereas KPIs are used to expand or improving specific projects. And we within NatWest have we think that there is one way to create a clear vision for our let's say the software development teams, which could only be possible by having a measurable relative goals, and that is why we introduced OKRs. Now the challenges with OKRs has been few. Some of them are listed on the screen as well. So one of the challenges for us was how do we move our cultural thought from the traditional KPIs piece of things to the OKRs? And it has been a long journey of confusions and chaos, but we finally did it. The other was we used to measure our goals on a very long-term basis. We used to measure it in terms of annually or quarterly basis. So, sorry, biannual. And the other challenge that came to us was how do we measure those our goals in relative to the business benefit more frequently, and hence we moved on from being annual to being quarterly basis. The other thing, the challenge with the KPI processes were when we moved on to the KPR, that people started building what they were building in KPIs in the OKRs. And that made the OKRs more of an inspirational goal and with unclear duration. So it took us time spent to make that inspiration goals more practical and more the unclear durations to more specific durations. Uh, what we also do in the our transformation leadership was we formed a core transformation leadership team. And what it did was it helped in developing our cultural change transformations product backlog. And this core transformation team worked in tandem with the leadership and the technology teams to continuously improve our culture. And to this, we collaborated closely with our technical teams who assisted us in maintaining and adjusting the appropriate pace and the momentum. What is the other thing that has been talked about when we're doing the cultural transformation is that the leaders tend to minimize or misunderstand the cultural implications of DevOps transformation. They need to be an integral part of the transformation to actually make it successful. So we developed a leadership training plan in order to allow the organization to understand their roles and responsibilities to steward the change more effectively. The other challenge which came up was the leadership learning and unlearning. And what happened with the leadership unlearning and learning was that it was difficult. It was difficult to convince our leadership to unlearn what they have learned for or they know it for since ages. The other what we did was the in the leadership per se, one of the things that do comes out of is the appreciations of the people that are making their benefits count, and we sort of we had this mechanism of appreciating the people, but that was not visible in nature. And when I say visible, it is to a wider audience or a set of group of people within the org, or maybe outside the business unit. So the initiative that was started was Thankful Thursdays, where our leadership teams thank the people for their contribution in the various areas be it technology or be it cultural or be it people. The last thing that I want to talk about the what was right now, and yes, that is something which is in process. Is we do not have that sort of mechanism for our digital badging system. So that is in progress with us, but sooner or later we would start that initiative too. So what are the tools and techniques that we did was we used the our OKR platform, just three things in this case. We are having conversation for the digital batches, which is an open thought, and to gauge the people and measure how how confident they are, how positive they are, how much appreciative they are of their work, how much thankful they are for the organizations, and vice versa. We have this mechanism of doing the review survey. Cool. So what happened in this whole process? What we did was we not only brought the leadership team to be committed in this DevOps cultural transformation, but we also brought them into our planning phase. We also brought them into our new ways of thought process. We also got their support as and when also required. A few of the statements called out by what some of our senior leadership is there on the screen. Okay, so let's move on to the next person, which is the Western organizational culture. Now, Ron Westrum wrote a typology of organizational culture in 2004, and he developed three organizational cultural models: pathological, bureaucratic, and generative, and several cultural criteria linked to power and leadership, communication and collaboration, a supportive or punitive environment, and employee behavioral responses to the model categorize each one of them. And to truly benefit from a DevOps as a comprehensive framework and philosophy, businesses must work towards becoming a generative culture and establishing the level of collaboration, cooperation, openness, and transparency that teams and individuals requires to be successful. So rather than blaming and punishing the experiment, the generative culture emphasizes a positive climate of inspiration, encouragement, failure as an opportunity, affirming and loving support from us. So what we did in the organization in respect to the whenever we, as in the DevOps Center of Excellence, have conversations with business, we ask them not to do DevOps, neither agile nor lean, nor any transformations until and unless they are clear with the fact that why any hashtag transformations will benefit their business. Because what we believe is that the cultural transformation roadmap can be laid out by framing the reasons why firms are embracing DevOps and influences on the company and the organization. And if everyone in the organization understands and supports the technological strategy, the cultural change will be more effectively received. So one of our flagship offering within NatWest Group is our DevOps maturity model. And this is based on 11 different dimensions, which covers 106 different capabilities. It has pretty great features, which I'll not talk about in this session. But what would I rather I say is the result that act as our part of striking the conversations, not only with the technology team, but including the business representative as well. And we jointly drafted the roadmap, which is not only doable but agreeable not by teams, individuals, but looking the business with benefit realization as well. And these model acted as a great tool to collect and analyze cultural challenges specific to the organization. It allowed the transformation to have a baseline to start with and build upon. Among many challenges of after the assessment of maturity model is done, what we saw is people were highly focused on the roles. They said after this assessment, we'll hire a DevOps engineer, we'll hire an automation guy, we'll hire an SRE person, we'll hire a XP person, B person. But what things people missed out, and that is where DevOps Center of Excellence is working, and as we speak, is uh, how could we focus rather than on roles, but more on the practices? How about let's say bringing the SRE practice into it. Let's say bringing the chaos engineering practice into it. Or let's say bringing other XYZ practice into it. So we have attained a small bit of success at the moment, but yes, the journey is still far away. The other thing that we did in the Western organizational culture to build upon within the organization was uh, moving away from uh, or moving towards the nuance rather than not the nuance. So, in order to create the cultural functional teams that have representations from each functional area of the software delivery process, we introduced the concept of nuance rather than nuance. And the reason was because we believe there can't be any world with nuance. It has to be nuance. And this also instilled the confidence amongst the people that we worked with that we wanted to take them along in this journey of cultural transformations, and we need their support to move ahead. The challenges with the new ops was that many people still think that there is nothing as new ops, but there is only no ops. Once this cultural transformation gets over, there will be no need of the new ops. So we did a lot of brainstorming, we did a lot of sessions. We again, as I said, SVP, there's a bit long journey in this first. The other thing was that the communication piece of it, and we believe, as Dora also speaks, that the communication has to be relentlessly towards the cultural change and accomplishment. So the greatest approach to keep the momentum going is to make your employees feel good about their participation and the positive influence it has on their company's culture and credibility as well. So you need to always keep the broader picture and system thinking in mind when you're trying the cultural accomplishments to your business and technology agendas. So what we did in these communications was the challenge that stood for was what to communicate, how to communicate, when to communicate, and whom to communicate. Because prior to this, there was nothing as communications in the official sense. Also, the challenge for us was also which platform to use, which medium to use, and the mapping between what to how and how to whom and platform to medium, all those things. The other last thing that is, yes, in processes, we want to shift away our mindset from a traditional hackathons to the new DevOps game days or a chaos event week or a chaos days. And why we believe in this is because we think building software is important, yes, but building resilience is more important. Um, Building new technologies is important. Building coming new systems is important, but having confidence into the system and the people is more important. Bringing silence is important, but bringing chaos is more important. So that was about the Western one. The next was so what we gained, what we benefited out of this was we have one of the business units which has over close to 800,000 colleagues. We don't have a separate ops team. What we have done is we have co-located all our ops people within the feature team constructs as closer to the developers. In the DevOps maturity models, we have over 60 teams, including 5 critical business units, who have embarked on this cultural transformation journey. We also have over 200% more traffic and 300% more unique visitors on our DevOps intranet resources, which means there is an urgency, there is a priority for people to embark on this journey. The last bit from the Dora cultural capabilities is the learning culture. Now, DevOps, as all of you know, is not about tools and technology. The core theme is mindset and cultural thereof. So we created a culture where we can have our colleagues, partners, community folk, thought leadership outside NatWest to come at a common platform, talk, brainstorm, share, and learn. And we didn't limit it to the tool side of DevOps, but a lot more than that. So, for example, we talked about diversity and inclusions, compliance and securities, cloud competencies, team empowerments. We have also gone beyond CI/CDs, value stream management, learning organization, GitOps, dev agility, and many more. So that is what we wanted. We don't wanted to have the conversation just around one tool or one tool chain per se. The thing that we did along with the learning culture was, but now what we have is, and which was not there earlier, every person has need to have, remember I talked about the OKRs and the other performance quarterly one. In this case, what every individual in the organization need to do is they need to draft their own personal development plan, which is measured on a quarterly basis. We also started a book club, which is another successful initiative of ours. So we tied up with a few of the best publishers around the business of DevOps, and through them we got a bit of discounted books from them or discounted journals from them, and we encouraged through that per se to ask people to go and buy those books. We also set up our network of change events, agents and coaches. Well, probably I'll talk in some other time. The key thing that we did was we established a DevOps community of practice, or rather, I would say, empowered individuals. Because we always believe that DevOps, where it is today, uh, since way back in 2009 to that, is because of the contribution through the community rather by any individual. Because uh, hence we started this DevOps community of practice within the NatWest approximately 6 7 months back. And the objective was to make the people empowered so that they try the things with similar interest of people. And I do say that we gain immensely from that, which could be probably another talk for some other day events. However, we'll show in some of the upcoming slides what we gained out of this. The point is that because everyone felt empowered to contribute and they were consulted, this strategy led to substantially higher our employee engagements and satisfaction. And in this journey, there were a lot of challenges as well. Challenges as in, as I said, we have this 400 years old banking firm, and there are a lot of center of excellence practice besides DevOps, and there are a lot of community of practices. How could we not act as a mutually exclusive entity, and how can we converge with their ideas with ours? And how could we jointly take this organization ahead rather than in a race of running individually? The other challenges was what was how could we increase our resources, our knowledge resources, which is both relevant and meaningful. The other challenges of creating this network of change agents and coaches were a diversity inclusion. When we say diversity inclusion, we mean our gender balance, we talk about ethnically diverse, we talk about disability smart, we talk about LGBT innovative, and we want the inclusive cultures. So I'll not dwell into it, but yes, I wanted to talk about the challenges that we face. So what did we really gain out of this learning culture? Um, of building networks, change agents, community of practice. And one of the things amongst many is what we want to say is so far we have impacted in this short span of time 6,000 colleagues across NatWest. And our target is to reach 10,000 folks by the year end. And there are many other benefits which I'll leave you to check on the slide or maybe after the talk. This is one thing which I wanted to call out, and as much as be thankful would be less. The people that you see on the slide has been part of our cultural transformation. Are their thoughts, their time, what they have invested with NatWest Group, we highly thankful to that. And you would be knowing there are many faces which you would resemble. Tracy Reagan from Deploy Hub, Tracy Miranda, Johnson Smart, who wrote the book Sooner Safer Happier, Jeffrey Frederick, Dr. Mick Custon, Mark Swart, John Willis, and many more. So, how do we? How should I end up? This is I want to call out some of the summaries which may be helpful to you. So the first thing is what I've heard many times is many people come and says to us is so that we think our culture is not supporting the transformation. And my always thought is if your culture is not supporting your transformation, that's the reason we are doing transformation. The other thing that you need to keep in mind is understand your current culture and its challenges. You need to involve your leadership. You need to create a strategy and a plan that matches your business goals. You need to engage your employees. You need to track your progress. You need to focus on practice rather than the roles. Uh, and remember, the art and science of cultural transformation. You need to have a community reach as well. And with this summary, the last statement which I would call out a famous quote from Confucius is only the wisest and the stupidest of men never ever change. So with this, would love to have you conversation with you because there are still a lot of challenges that we have and we would like to help you. How have you built practices rather than roles into your organization? Or what are the cultural transformation challenges that you have faced which could be shared with us? Also, how have you taken along or converged with your community of practices or center of excellence, which lies in elsewhere in the organization, and many more. So, if you have faced across these challenges, which I have talked about in this session, please feel to reach me out. I would love to have the conversation. So, with this, thank you so much. Enjoy your rest of the evening, and I hope you love this story about the NatWest. With this, thank you.